Howdy, Brianna Light here, and I think I found an interesting Coraline theory. I was watching the Fangirl's newest video about it, and it got me thinking about Coraline, and I remembered Zach Morrison from CZsWorld saying that he believed like the other father and the other Miss Forcible and Spinks were actually the bodies of the 3 ghost children. And reason he said that is like there's only 3 of them because in the books, Mr. Bobensky is actually just rats hiding in his clothing. So it's kind of ironic how there's only 3 of them, 1 male and 2 female, when there's also 3 ghosts, 1 male and 1 female. And I decided to look into that, like if there was because I knew at least in the books the other mother is definitely a fairy creature, as in like Irish and British mythology, folklore and all that. And so I decided to look it up to see if there was a connection between fairies and dead bodies like that. Turns out there is. For one, they have one detail that I found really interesting is that the fairies have a habit of abducting people and leaving behind a sham body, which is pretty much a dead a fake dead body. Like it looks exactly like the person, but it's not actually them, which I find ironic. And like and that's all humans find, so they think the human that was abducted died instead of being abducted. Which doesn't that sound very similar to the doll in Coraline? Like it gets left behind as sort of a doll version of the sham body. And everyone thinks it. Sure, no one no one thinks it's the actual kid's body, but still, like there's a ties with that. And when a person, oh my gosh, according to like the article I read, there's this pretty much if you accept the fairies' food when they abduct you, you're forever bound to be sort of a housekeeper or servant to the fairies that abducted you, pretty much. Which, no, I don't think Coraline got trapped because she did eat food in the other world. Because at least, like, they don't show it in the movie. They don't. But in the book, they do state specifically that Coraline ate her father's cooking after returning from the other world, which the main point with that is the fact that after you eat the fairy food, just touching human food would kill you. So instead of like using the food, I think the fairy food is actually, in this case, is actually the button eyes. Which makes sense since that's the deal that you're given. And there are a lot of key traits that I find interesting with like the people who are abducted according to the legends. And one key detail, they're deformed in some way. Like a lot of the descriptions that were given were like having their heads removed and stuff like that. But the other residents, at least when the other mother's illusion powers start failing, are shown to be very deformed. And in a sense, the ghost children did accept the fairy food. So that's a key point to those actually being the bodies of the children. Not only that, there's also physical alterations to the bodies that make it so they physically can't leave the other world. Fairy world, which, again, it is we see with at least the other YB, they physically can't leave the other world. The bodies can't. And then it's another detail that I find interesting is traveling to fairyland is not death, just looks like death to those left behind, which I find interesting since, in a sense, the other world is technically fairyland since it's the land of a fairy. Yet, sure, the ghost children are dead in a sense, but maybe the other mother, with how she eats the children, she just drains pretty much their life energy out of their souls, but keeps the bodies around as little henchmen. That's what I'm jumping to with this information. And honestly, the main reason this caught my interest was, again, with the Fangirl. Though I do love her theories, I find it, one thing that kind of bugs me is that she has trouble making sense on why the other mother puts so much effort into sewing buttons into the children's eyes when she just plans on eating them, which I'm all like, what I figure is she's after their souls, and the eyes are the windows into the soul, so sewing them shut is essentially something with somehow makes it so their souls belong to her, the other mother, and which allows her to take them out somehow with her fairy magic and all that. And she lost my train of thought. And the reason why she puts so much effort into getting the children to want the buttons sewn into their eyes is because what in fairy tales is the go-to strongest of all magic? Because that's essentially what she's after, the soul magic within the soul. So I don't know how much of this is natural mythology, but or folklore or anything, but in Hellsing, the anime and manga, they state that when Ceres, spoilers for that, when Ceres drinks Pip's blood, because he offered it to her, it made it a lot more powerful, and thus, by extension, made her a lot more powerful. So that's a key point on why the other mother makes such a big deal about getting the children to love her and want her to let her sew buttons into their eyes, because it makes it so not only does she get their souls are much stronger because it was given, and it was given out of love and all that. And I find it really interesting how, again, with Zach Morrison's theory, which started this one, there are 3 deformed body figures working as housekeepers, in a sense, for the other mother. 2 of which are girls, 1 boy, just exactly like the ghost children. And here's the thing, the ghost children won't know. like, one, their bodies are altered, and two, they've been shoved in that cellar-like area the whole time. I mean, the room behind the mirror this whole time, so who knows what they know. And not only that, a key detail in the books is that they forget, like, one of the first things after their souls were removed, they forgot everything about themselves, including their physical appearance. So there's a high chance that those bodies, like the other father and other more Miss Spink and Forcible, are actually the ghost children's bodies without their souls, and because they're in the fairyland, essentially became fairies themselves after being human, it caused their bodies to mutate into what we see towards the end of the film and book. And the other mother, who's a shapeshifter with manipulation, like some sort of illusion power, alters them to change them into the form she deems necessary. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have on this. Sorry if it seemed a little rambly or all that and the stuttering, but like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.